And it is greetings to all our viewers who are watching us live. This is www.checkmate.tv. Thank you so much to all our viewers who are watching us from across the globe. My name is Tony. We are so much excited to be back once more again. This is Tech Business, where we bring you nothing but technology and business as we talk to various movers and shakers in the market who are really making huge headlines. Today we are so much excited to have the Astro Mobile Africa Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Munyaradzi Gwatidzo. Where today we are going to be talking a lot more on what's happening in the technology business. Mr. Gwatidzo, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Definitely. Pleasure is all ours. It's good to have you. And I know you are one name and one brand that many Zimbabweans know. And today is going to be very much exciting because we're going to talk about a lot of things and go all the way back as far as the technological landscape in Zimbabwe is concerned. But I think just before we get straight into our interview, if you may just help us through, for the benefit of our viewers, those who have never heard of you, let's start with the basics. Who is Munyaradzi Gwatidzo?
Thanks very much for that. Munyaradzi Gwatidzo is a tech entrepreneur, CEO of Astro Mobile Technology Group. Astro Mobile Technology Group now has got 3 subsidiaries under it. It's got Astro Mobile, which is the devices subsidiary. We also have got eShagi, which is the fintech financial services company. We also have Algebra, which is a software enterprise development company. So pretty much we are a technology group of companies operating in 5 African countries, and we are expanding, still going on providing, best technology to people.
I didn't get to know if Munyaradzi Gwatidzo is married or single.
No, Munyaradzi Gwatidzo.
I'm not trying to put you into any market, but I just need to understand.
No, I'm very much married. 3 kids. So I'm married and 3 kids.
Right. There's something or one brand that many Zimbabweans would rather know you from or of. It was a brand that made a lot of noise in Zimbabwe. Exactly, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was around 2008, 2009, thereabout. If my memory still stays me well, there was a brand that was called G-Tide. And you were the people behind that mobile phone that almost every Zimbabwean rushed to get. I remember one of the easiest, or one of the most topical issues about the phone, it was affordability. And hell yes, it was a very noisy phone. Let's talk about G-Tide.
Yeah. I think out of the passion that I've always had, I had always had the passion to connect Africa, to make sure that each and every person in Africa is connected. I think as you have seen now, everything is now driven by technology. I think those years, it's something that I already saw, that if there's one thing that is going to transform and change Africa, was going to be technology, and the mobile phone was going to play a very pivotal role in actually driving this revolution. So from that time, to me, the passion was, how can we get mobile phones cheaper and affordable to people? And during that time, you had brands like Nokia that were very dominant and big in terms of that time. So for me, it was an issue of saying, okay, let's come up with a device that is very affordable and that each and every person can afford, which is exactly what we did with G-Tide. And talking about the noise, I think it's one thing that people always knew G-Tide for. If you're in a combi, if it rings, everyone would know that you've got a G-Tide.
Yes.
But you know what? During that time, the main issue was that was the only value addition that you could put on the phone. Remember that time internet was not there as yet.
Yeah.
So when you look at any additional feature that you could put on the phone that time was a radio. And most people couldn't afford to buy a phone, and you would find that in a family of 5, probably one person only had a phone.
True.
So for me, it made sense to have a big speaker, so that when they are playing radio, each and every person would actually be able to listen to the radio. And unfortunately, it's the same speaker that is used when the phone rings. So obviously, there was an issue of priorities around there. So for us, we would rather have people enjoy music, and when it rings, you can just adjust.
It also had TVs. I know there's some G-Tide phone that is actually TV.
Yeah.
I would watch ZBC TV for my phone.
Yes. So I think that's what innovation does.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always about how can we give more to the people. Just phoning and texting was not enough. So we gave them music, and music was not enough. We gave them TV. So what we're trying to do was to create that convenience where people were not limited to where they are. They could actually still watch their favorite TV stations. They could actually follow through their favorite programs on TV, which is what we are now seeing, where you've got Netflix and all these different types. But we saw this coming 15 years ago.
Same TV, different delivery platforms.
Yeah, same TV, but now what is now different is only the delivery platforms. But it's something that we knew that people wanted everything on that small little thing. Yeah.
Let's still hang around the G-Tide era there. How many devices did you sell then? I know I used to have a G-Tide, and everyone else that really made it in life had a G-Tide. How many devices back then did you manage to sell, the G-Tide devices?
I think G-Tide, it was a very successful brand, like what you're saying, even across Africa, in terms of the sales that were done. Plus or minus 25 million units of G-Tide were sold across Africa. In Zimbabwe, I think around 3 to 4 million units, I think we actually sold in terms of the G-Tide brand. And I know at that time in Zimbabwe, we overtook Nokia in terms of market share, which was something that was a big thing, and many people were kind of like surprised. How can a Zimbabwean-driven brand be able to do so much impact in Zimbabwe, where you had giants like Nokia that were there during that time? But I just believe that if you've got the right product at the right time, which speaks to what people want, people are very excited to actually be able to buy the product. Yeah.
Okay, let's slowly move away from the G-Tide. I am there because I want our viewers to connect to where you are today, where you came from, and all. I know for a fact that you were one of the co-founders of G-Tide, and there was another bigger brand there, or your partner, so should I say. You had the now founder of G-Tel, who's Mr. Shumba. You guys, you and Mr. Shumba, you were together during the G-Tide era, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's true.
So you guys were then separated. Then there was a G-Tel. G-Tide died. There was G-Tel, and then there was Astro. Let's go back to G-Tide. What happened? Did money split you guys? You used to be a big brand on G-Tide, and then boom, with G-Tel and Astro. What's the story? We never got to hear the story on why did these two big giants end up splitting, and you had two mobile phones and you became competitors to your own selves. Please spare us the story.
And I think, I would want to put it in such a way that I think the brand overgrew, us. And I think obviously, we had our own maybe a difference in terms of how we see things in terms of the business, and we felt that the cake was too big. We could all share into the market share, and obviously we had to then go separate ways. Obviously, it always happens in business where you start something, you're excited about it, and as it grows, you then have different perceptions in terms of how you see things, and you then see differently. I think we always hear these stories. We always hear the Steve Jobs story and Bill Gates. All those kind of things, they always happen. But eventually they all build great brands, which I feel is probably the same thing, between, these two brands that emerged out of G-Tide. We're very excited. We're still good friends. And
are you still good friends?
Yes, we are. Yeah. Like what I said is, the market is too big. Yeah. So if you look even at
how
the market share,
how often do you meet? Do you guys still meet? Because I know for sure you used to share the same block, share the same office, share the same vision, and used to drive G-Tide like no man's business. Now you are there, is there. You are obvious competitors. You can't honestly ignore that. But your personal relationship, do you talk with G-Tel, with Mr. Shumba?
Yes, we do. We definitely talk, and obviously not so often because we obviously do not work together anymore. But we still talk, and the industry, like what I said, there's certain things that when you're industry players, you still need to put your heads together. So that you actually drive certain aspects together. because the industry demands that you coordinate and cooperate on some aspects. For example, aspects to do with policies, aspects to do with the environment that is affecting us, because it pretty much affects all of us. And like what I've said, the market share is too big. So even if you look at the two brands, we still not the dominant market share, device vendors, even in the market, even if you look at the Zimbabwean market. So which means that, there is still a lot of work that we need to do so that we actually end up controlling and owning the biggest market share as local brands.
Why mobile phones? What got you guys to start that? I know, if I'm not mistaken, the first time ever I've heard of local players dealing at that large scale in mobile phones. That was the first time, and you guys are still there. 2008, I'm very bad on mathematics. 2008, 2020, that makes it 12 years, if my math is still right.
Yes, that's
12
correct.
years still there, still strong. You saw this 12 years back. What got you to be in this industry?
So for me, I've always been very fascinated about technology. Many people, they always wonder, how did a banker eventually, became a tech entrepreneur?
Yeah, we'll talk about the banker. We'll talk about the banker after this question.
Yeah. So, but for me, I saw the mobile phone revolutionizing people's lives long back. I used to have conversation with people, and I used to say, I see everything happening on the mobile device. And if there's a space that one has to be in, is the mobile devices technology. And I think we can witness now, banking is on the device, education is on the device, enterprise mobility is on the device, healthcare is on the device. So the device has become the key driver of everything now. So for me, I saw this, years back, and I said, if I'm going to change, be it banking, if I'm going to change, be it the health, the medical health space, I need to be in the devices space. So I started researching a lot. I started investing time in learning and understanding mobile devices. And, but me just reselling other mobile brands was not good enough, because I couldn't really then, do the things that I wanted to do on the devices. So for me to only be able to drive value addition on the devices, I had to come up with my own brand.
Did you have any technological training or bias towards that exposure? Because I'm just thinking back those days, to be very honest, before I jump into you, Munya the banker, I'm still hanging around the same question. Why mobile? Did you have any, besides your understanding and your vision, to say, well, mobile is the future? I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at Mr. Shumba. I'm not seeing people who have any non-technological, maybe training, flair, or any that you had done then. What got you taking? And when you were together, who was the money guy or the business guy, and who was the tech guy together? Because I know you had different strengths. Still, when you would sit down on a G-Tide boardroom, so to say, how were you guys faring? 60-40 technological business-wise. Who was the tech guy? Who was the business guy? Who was the money person? How did it go and how did it start?
I think I initially started the G-Tide brand in terms of that. So I've been the business, I've been the technology guy in terms of seeing this opportunity in terms of mobile space. Okay. So I always tell people that, I didn't just start with G-Tide. I actually started reselling phones in Zambia, and I always tell people the story that I would buy, broken phones, refurbish them, and jump into a bus after work on a Friday, and go to Zambia and sell those phones in Zambia and come back to Zimbabwe. So the passion to drive devices, was already there. And I started as a cross-border, selling devices into Zambia. Then from there, I then wanted more. I then started getting devices from UK, If you remember that time, there was LG and stuff and phones that would come logged from UK.
Yeah.
I found a way of how to unlock those devices. So I then started reselling those phones, and I always tell people I started actually selling phones on credit to my workmates. So that time they were checks. So pretty much they would give me a post-dated checks for 3 months, then I would actually sell them phones. So selling devices is something that I had started around 2005, 2006, and I was actually doing it that way. So obviously I then saw a bigger opportunity to actually then drive a brand, because just reselling Nokia, LG and these other brands was not good enough for me, because I was not changing the world. I was not changing the communities, because the phones were very expensive and many people couldn't access them. So the only way for me to make an impact was actually to create and drive a brand that we could control. So that's when the G-Tide brand came. But obviously you want to sell volumes and millions of phones, it means that you'll have to improve and scale in terms of the business. So that's when, you know, the partner came in. I found them say, who can I partner with who can also put in more capital into the business so that I can be able to grow and expand the business. So, you know, that's how...
so he was the money guy?
Yes, he was the money guy. So that's how Chamu came in. He came as a financier to the business. So obviously, you know, no background in terms of technology. I understand, you know, that time he was dealing in cars. So pretty much it's that's how we became together. But, you know, a very great business person in terms of business acumen, you know, a great salesman, you know, who could get a deal on the table. So pretty much I think it was a combination of two strengths. You know, a tech-driven person, very creative, someone who could see opportunities and convert opportunities or an idea into a product and be able to push it, and a guy who could make sure that there is financing to make sure that that product goes on. So pretty much those were the different roles. Yeah.
You were a branch manager. I can't remember. Or a senior. I don't remember the post.
Yeah.
I remember FBC Bank Samora Machel. It was number 76 Samora Machel there, 2008. Anyone who knows this story, let's not go back there.
Yeah.
But let's just stick to you in the bank and you outside the bank. What prompted you out? Are you still a banker?
I think I'm still a banker. You know, the banker is always a banker. So even if you look at our business model, I think we pioneered credit financing on mobile devices. When we started G-Tide, I think we were the first company to actually start enabling people to buy phones on credit. It had never really had happened in this country in that scale. You know, I remember us selling phones in mines in Wange there, and people would actually queue to buy phones and would actually call police officers, and would have like 2,000 people queuing to buy phones, because we had introduced something that had never happened before. So when I look at that, it was driven from a banking background. That was banking, you know, financing, creating financing and structuring financing for people to buy devices. That has always been there. And even now, I think you've seen how the company has grown into fintech, where we are now disrupting financial services through the use of technology.
That's what the tech segment.
Yeah.
That's what the tech segment.
Yeah. So I still call myself, you know, a technopreneur banker.
Okay.
If I can put it that way.
All right, fine. So
Yeah.
before we just take a break into the second segment of this interview, I need to put you on the spot here. Many people say that G-Tide brand, G-Tel brand, Astro brand, and most of these brands that we've got here in Zimbabwe are not necessarily brands that you guys drive, but these are brands made for Chinese, by Chinese, and all you guys do is to put a sticker that's written Astro. Can you respond to this? Because people are saying, well, Astro and Geo, they do not make these phones. As they say we make phones, but they just brand them and they put up a sticker. Your response to this issue, it has been going on for years.
Yeah, I think it's just not understanding how the ecosystem for mobile devices work. You know, I believe that, you know, because something is assembled in China, it doesn't make it a Chinese product. I think if you look at all the brands, you look at Apple, you look at Samsung, Apple doesn't have a factory in America. The products are actually assembled in China, but it doesn't make it a Chinese product. So for us, I will speak mainly, obviously, for Astro. I can't speak for other brands because I don't know exactly their strategy and you know everything about the phone. And pretty much the phone is then assembled in China. And you know, for years, as you may know, we have been battling to try to get the phones manufactured here in Zimbabwe, but you know, the environment hasn't been friendly. We literally failed even after bringing millions of equipment into this country. So for us, the passion has always been to have the technology developed in Zimbabwe, manufactured in Zimbabwe, and become a fully, you know, driven Zimbabwean product. But you know, our environment doesn't easily permit.
I'll hold your horses once more again,
yeah,
as we want to speak about the ease of doing business right here in Zimbabwe.
On the street has been saying. So, Mr. Munyaradzi Gwatidzo, thank you and welcome to Technic TV.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, we would like you to tell the people out there that we can see that there's the containers with the first consignment, as you had said before the shooting, that there's a thing which has just been delivered. So, we need you to enlighten and share with Africa and Zimbabwe what's going on and what is this that is behind us.
Thank you. I think what's behind us, it's the manufacturing equipment for TVs and smartphones. I think we've been talking about this issue for a long time, and I think it's been a couple of years since we've been talking about setting up a manufacturing plant here in Zimbabwe. I think it has always been our vision, so this is the full equipment of assembly lines for us to be able to manufacture mobile devices and smart LED TVs.
Okay, so there you've heard it from Mr. Gwatidzo that, okay, they'll be manufacturing the TVs and the smartphones right here in Zimbabwe. Not just the ones that were being manufactured in China, but it's going to be happening in our country. So is there a time frame that we'll see that we might have to expect for the groundbreaking of setting up this factory in Zimbabwe?
In terms of the groundbreaking, we've planned it for July. For us to actually start the actual construction of the factory. And we're expecting to actually finish the construction of the phase 1. Because what we have done is we've phased the construction of the factory into 3 phases. So we've got phase 1, which is basically setting up the manufacturing floor, which will give us the ability to actually start to manufacture. Then we've got the phase 2, which we are also going to set up a technology. One of the things that we have as adequate expertise for people to actually be able to manufacture or to work into the factory. So what we have actually done is to be able to actually also set up a technology school where we'll actually be training people in terms of how to actually manufacture mobile devices, televisions and other electronic products. Then the third phase, we want to also be able to set up a data center. So this place that you're seeing, it's going to house those 3 things. Factory, the data center, and the School of Technology.
So there you have, I wanted to actually enroll in a beauty school, but Mr. Munya here is talking about a tech. I'm going to try working on being a tech gig. And I'm sure with the glasses, you sure Mr. Munya here fits the description of a tech gig. So are there any oh, and also there was word on the street, Mr. Munya, that if you buy Astro, well, what? Because of parts that would be missing and maybe services, serving your service center. So with this development of a factory here.
And of course, what we've been watching there was a video that we did in, it was 3 years back, right?
Yeah, 3 years back.
That was 2017. Yeah. We spoke to you there. I was there. We saw a plant that Astro was supposed to build. You had a very big vision and a very big African dream. And I remember back then, Africans to literally manufacture, or is it assemble, phones from Zimbabwe. It was a very big dream. $20 million was supposed to be put up for that project. Here we are today, 3 years down the line.
My heart, not from an investment perspective, but from a vision perspective. The epicenter of technology in Africa, because we basically were the first, African brand in Africa. When we started, even G-Tide to be able to drive it, and even the Astro brand. I think there's been very few players in Africa that managed to get into this space that we are in, and for me that was not enough. It took us time, to save the money and mobilize the resources to bring, that plant, which costed us millions of dollars. But as for such kind of scale to be able to happen, there is support that you're also supposed to get from other respective functions and authorities and elements of any country. So we brought the plant and pretty much the environment has been very hectic. Facets of government, different ministries, different institutions to try to make this possible. But it really has been very to set up a manufacturing plant here in Zimbabwe.
Let's just hang around the issue of ease of doing business. You've mentioned a very important facet there, where you're obviously frustrated, for lack of a better word, about the kind of support and expectation that you should have received. How much of support were you expecting from the government? Create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs like you.
I think for such kind of a project, you definitely find out that you want to invest your resources mainly on developing the technology. All right. So if you look into the region, any country that you go for such kind of a project, you find out that the government provides spaces or areas where one can easily set up. and get running with such kind of a project, so that you don't end up investing a lot of money in land, which would be the resources that you should be actually be pushing to drive the technology. So obviously there's been a lot of structures that have been put in place by government in terms of trying to necessitate such kind of things, but it turned out to be actually more expensive than actually going out there commercially and actually buying a piece of property to be able to set up that. So obviously for us, that was one of the biggest hurdle in terms of that. Then also there's issues to do with policies. It wouldn't really make much of a sense from us as a business for us to be able to set up and manufacture products locally, and you then find yourself that you are still paying duty on components that you're actually bringing to actually be able to manufacture. So effectively what it then means is it will actually be more expensive to manufacture locally than for someone who's pretty much just importing the product. So you find out that the policies, they do not favor one actually setting up and manufacturing mobile devices in Zimbabwe, because we don't have specific policies to drive and protect people that are going to be able to do that. So there is a whole lot of issues around the space. I think we also had to spend quite a lot of time, if I can say it, years, in terms of different proposals to this ministry and moving to the other and moving to the other. So eventually then took quite a lot of time for us, to the extent that we then felt that we need to then kind of hold the project until we can fully capitalize the project on our own, and we'll be able to drive it independently. Yeah.
I'm very worried. You are speaking about the environment, which was not very much conducive, which I understand. But then you finish your statement by saying that you had to hold the project. Mr. Gwatidzo, you imported materials. I remember very well from that video that we just saw. Behind you there was a truckload full of equipment. Is this equipment still relevant? Is this equipment going to be still working? Because I know there were parts, if I'm not mistaken, of some certain mobile devices or TVs that we're also anticipating to be working around. Is this technology, or is this hoard, or is this consignment still relevant, or is now going all down? Especially because of technology moving and evolving.
In terms of technology from the assembly line itself, obviously there are certain things that have become obsolete. So what it means is we'll have to reinvest in some of the things. So pretty much it means 30% of the plant has to be upgraded so that it actually is relevant to the
current technology. You upgraded before you even started?
Yes, we have to upgrade most of the things. They become redundant while it's the machinery and the plant were in containers. So yeah, but that's what has to be done. But fortunately, most of the things they're still relevant. They can still work, and it's something that we are working on.
Mm-hmm. If we can just have a figure there about back then, just to help us understand, what kind of a value are we talking about? How much was this equipment that you had already brought in there? How much was it worth?
The equipment that we had brought in that time was plus or minus $2 million United States dollars during that time that we brought. But obviously now it's a different story because obviously of depreciation and loss of value and change of technology. So it's obviously an investment that just vanished without being utilized. And yeah,
we want to have a short video where we get into the equipment, part of the equipment that you actually brought through there, I know for sure that the place was called, it was more or less of a technology park, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was meant for such technological developments, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What's going on in the place right now as you're speaking?
There's nothing that has then really ever happened. I think the vision there, I think from the government was to create a technology park, and that place was designated.
And Astro was just one of the players, correct?
Was one of the players, yes. Was one of the players. But nothing, I think, has happened up to now. It's still it's still in a ground. It's still a place where there hasn't been any.
Which other
investment.
players were designed to be in that area?
I might not really remember the names now, but I understand there was companies that were also to do with computers that were supposed to come there. There was also different companies that has to do with I think routers and stuff like that were supposed to come there, and networking equipment. But there hasn't been anything that was then further developed. I'm not so sure whether that vision is still there from a government perspective in terms of converting some of the place from Sunway City into a technology park. I honestly think
so. Sunway City
it was a
today
great vision, but
yeah.
I don't know what happened. Yes.
Are you being charged any rentals or anything towards you occupying that part of the place? I just need to understand what's going on, what's sticking in that area.
No, we actually had to move out of that place because obviously the charges that we are now being charged at that time were not making any sense. I think at some point, we had to pay up to $5,000 or $6,000 a month
for a place you're not even utilizing.
Yeah, for a place that we are not even utilizing.
Who am I paying? Who owns this place?
So the place is owned by Sunway City.
Okay.
And I think Sunway City is a subsidiary of IDC, I think, Industrial Development Corporation, pretty much. So for us, the interests that we were then having to pay on a dormant land, where, like what I was saying, interest was to about $7,000 a month just on interest that we were supposed to pay for the land. And so it didn't make sense for us. So we then had to move out of the place. So now we are no longer in the place. We then had to find where we could put the equipment temporarily, whilst we re-strategize in terms of where we think we can actually set up. Yeah.
Big visions are going down in a unnecessarily very good way. Let's just take a quick look into this video. This is what we saw back then, 3 years back, when we did a tour into this truck.
So basically, these are rails. So everything is broken into different pieces in terms of the equipment that is here, because you can't ship it when it's actually assembled. So the whole equipment is actually broken. So the first equipment that we have here is the assembly line. So in this container, we've got an assembly line for the mobile devices. So we've got the belts, we've got the compressors, we've got the rails inside there. So all those things are broken down. So once we finish doing this, we then are going to assemble the actual line in terms of the actual factory. So this line is 80 meters by 40 meters. So it's quite a huge assembly line. In the other container here, we've got an assembly line for LCD TVs. So basically what we're going to be doing, assembling from 28-inch all the way to 75-inch. So also you've got the equipment which is in there. It's also disassembled as well in terms of equipment. So the equipment
exactly
here,
what is disassembled? What are those things and what do they really do?
So these are all the components. So you've got the rails, you've got the running belts that basically then run the equipment there. Then you've got the screwing machines that basically, because of automated screwing and all those kind of things, so we've got the machines there. We've got SMPTs there. So basically what you're also going to be able to do is when we are doing the TVs, so we're actually going to be making the panels locally. So what it means is all they're going to manufacture them locally. So they're going to come out as components. So we've got also equipment for what is called a smart room. So a smart room is basically a dust-proof kind of room which has got a special environment which makes sure that there's no dust, there's no air, there's no wind that actually gets there, and it's a smart room. So basically we've got equipment to actually assemble that. So we've got another container which is going equipment in terms of actually manufacturing some of the motherboards.
What kind of a time frame are you looking for towards this whole thing?
So we're looking in the next 2 months, we should get the last components in terms of the machinery. So this is 80%. So what we're going to bring now is only the 20% that is left, because that needs the factory to be almost done for us to actually bring it, because it's not stuff that can stay in a container for a long time, because it's affected by magnetic fields and all those kind of things. So we need it to make sure that once it's there, it's actually then put in the designed rooms that are specifically for that. Yeah. So, but for the whole thing, we're working with about 9 months. So in 9 months, if everything goes according to plan, you should actually be coming here and actually getting into a plant, which is actually manufacturing smart TVs and mobile devices.
How far have you gone in terms of funding this whole project?
We're talking to different investors and banks to actually fund this, and we quite have a number of institutions and investors that are interested in doing that. Unfortunately, I can't disclose at the moment.
Have
who we are
any shown
working
any
with.
strong, serious interest?
There is strong interest. There is basically strong interest. This project is the first in Africa. You know, it's a first for Africa, and we've got people that are excited to actually do that. So we hope with the export incentives that the government is putting in, I think we should be able to be more competitive. And in as much as we are looking at the central bank and the government actually upping those export incentives, because for countries like China, for example, people are given 17% export incentives, and here in Zimbabwe it's only 5%. So those are some of the things that actually help Chinese products to be more competitive, not only the issue of affordable labor, which most people think it's actually the incentive. So we're very excited with what government has done in terms of introducing special economic zones, and this area is actually a special economic zone that we are in, Sunway City. So we actually are looking at negotiating and talking to the government and seeing if there's possibility of them increasing the incentives so that we are even more competitive for us to actually be able to supply the whole of Africa from Zimbabwe.
The world over, including mobile phone giants, they've left China to actually do the manufacturing. What makes you unique? Why would you think this is going to be successful for a Zimbabwean company to do this, when world giants themselves have actually allowed and left Chinese and China to specifically manufacture mobile phones? What do you think is this going to be successful?
Yes, definitely it will be successful. I think there's nothing that the Chinese are doing that we can't do as Zimbabweans and as Africans. Everything that they're doing, we are doing it. And now we're actually doing the whole process. It's only that we are subcontracting them to manufacture devices on our behalf. But now we just want to do it ourselves. But if you see at even other companies like Apple, right now they're in the process of building a factory in China, in America. They now want to manufacture in America because it's an issue of creating employment. It's an issue of technology transfer. It's an issue of equipping your own people. And we believe as Astro Mobile Africa that it's also our duty to make sure that we equip Africa and create Zimbabwe as a technology hub for the whole continent. That we equip Africa and create Zimbabwe as a technology hub for the whole continent.
In the 3 years back, that was a very big vision, and loads of equipment. You had already sparked towards construction of a locally based mobile manufacturing. I know you were speaking about mobile manufacturing, and there was a vision as well, if I'm not mistaken, for also locally doing TVs, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the equipment could also do smart TVs, because we had seen obviously the future of television was going to change as well from your normal broadcasting TV, analog TV into digital, and obviously IP-driven TV, which is what we are now witnessing today. It's things that we had already seen, that how people are going to view TVs is going to change, where it was going to be an on-demand driven content in terms of video than the typical, content where one has to be sitting on a television to wait on a program. Yeah. Yeah.
I understand that you've been doing a lot around this business, and one place that you have got a strong footprint as well is Zambia. Astro is doing very well in Zambia, and it's been known in Zambia as well. How is it been? It's very interesting how people are receptive, to other brands, in other countries, especially if they realize that it's an African brand. I think, whichever country you go to, be it Malawi, Zambia, the markets that we have penetrated into, I think there is so much excitement that this is an African who is actually developing and manufacturing mobile devices. It's something that wows everyone, and everyone wants to support such kind of vision. So we have managed to get reasonable support in other countries that we have been operating in. And we are looking forward in terms of expanding our vision into as many countries as possible, so that we get an affordable smartphone to each and every African, in the next 5 years.
Yeah. The business keeps growing, and we've been talking about one of the issues of ease of doing business here locally in Zimbabwe. But do you have anything that you probably may have learned, or where you think is much more favorable there in Zambia, that Zimbabweans, legislators, lawmakers, environment, business, policymakers, probably maybe they may need to take a leaf from a Zambian side?
I think it's other countries like Zambia, like what you've rightfully said, you find out that the ease of doing business is great. If you're a foreign company trying to set up, there is all sorts of support that you get from the system. And I think it's one thing that we have to also learn as a Zimbabwean company in terms of prioritizing companies that have got scope to create huge employment, that have got scope in terms of creating exports that can actually be exported to other countries. So what I've seen, they easily identify companies that have got export potential, that have got employment generation potential, and they've got a lot of systems to be able to support those companies from a financial perspective, from a growth perspective, from a development perspective, which I feel is something that we have to aggressively do as Zimbabwe. I think we've also seen how the world is changing, where probably the products that we used to survive on are probably not products that we can continuously rely on. For example, I can give you an example of a product like tobacco. You find out that tobacco is still probably one of our biggest foreign earners in the country, but how many countries each and every day that are banning tobacco? Each and every day. In the next 5 years, it might be very difficult to sell tobacco anyway for the purposes of smoking, because people are becoming more health conscious, and what is important is to try to start to come up with substitute products that can be exported, and technology is one of them. In Africa, we don't have any country that is exporting technology, and for us, it's something that we would have pioneered. And when you look at an African landscape, technology from a devices perspective, it's almost a $200-300 billion business. So imagine if we were exporting 20% of that out of Zimbabwe. It means we are generating $30 billion. All our minerals and everything combined, it's not even a tenth of the potential of the revenue that we as a country can generate if we start promoting other products and other services for export. So I think that's what other countries are starting to see. I think we have seen what has happened in Rwanda, where they've facilitated to set up a plant through a partnership there as well with another vendor. I think the vision is pretty much seeing that the world is going to be totally different in the next 10 years. It's going to be totally different. The products, gold might not be the biggest seller. Things are changing. The new gold now is totally different. It's data. So countries look at the top 500 fortune companies. It tells you the story. Yeah. The top 10 most valued businesses, the top 20 valued businesses. It tells you the story, and Africa cannot just be watching and waiting to consume technology that has been developed from other countries. it's high time governments take a very deliberate strategy around developing and assisting technology companies to scale, so that they are able to export those services, because that is the next generation product that is going to, be massive in the next coming years.
Still hanging around the issue of policy and direction there, I know for a fact that during the times, your heydays of G-Tide, early days of Astro, GTEL, other local mobile network, mobile players, you had a favorable government policy which had exempted duty on ICTs. That this law is no longer applicable. Do you think that it's something that you need to be advocating for, that government may probably need to really look into, so that it completely removes duties on ICTs?
Zimbabwe is the only country in Southern Africa and the DRC, Sub-Saharan Africa, that charge duty on mobile devices. Any other country doesn't charge duty on mobile devices. Why? Because they are a key enabler and driver now in terms of everything. So look at in Zimbabwe, all our banking has gone almost 100% digital on a mobile phone, and you're charging duty on the mobile phone. Medical healthcare is now happening on a mobile phone. You're charging duty on mobile phone. E-learning, kids can't go to school now because of COVID. Most of them, they cannot afford to buy laptops. How are they learning? They are learning through mobile phones, and you still charge duty on that mobile phone. So for me, it's one area that government has to really look into, because we are actually losing more than what we could be gaining by actually putting duties on mobile devices. Like what you've rightly said, when there was no duty on mobile devices, that's where we experienced the biggest growth and boom in this country. And I know that in the region, at some point, we had the highest device penetration rate in the region. But it's since changed. We put 25% duty on the phones.
Actually, in the world, I remember doing a headline that Zimbabwe was the fastest growing ICT country in the world during those times.
Yes, but now we are just following through other countries, and I think that we need to really look into those policies. We need to take away duty on mobile devices. And I think policymakers have to really look into that, so that we can actually start driving all these other key industries: education, healthcare, financial services, agrotech. All these things are driven by technology. And when we talk about technology now, we are pretty much talking about a mobile device, because it's the one that is driving all these things. So it's one thing that we are really advocating for, in terms of government having to really look into actually scrapping duty on mobile devices. Yeah.
That's a strong point, especially on those issues. But have you ever tried to engage the various arms? I know this is a legislative issue, but have you tried to also bring it through within the relevant authorities, just as a look into any form of such a possibility? Because definitely it was a major driver towards the growth of ICTs. Has there been any such effort towards?
No, they definitely has been effort. I think we've been engaging over the last 5 years or so, with the different people and ministries that are responsible. I think it's something that has been advocated for in different platforms. I think be it tech platforms, be it conferences, in many areas, I think it has been advocated for. And I want to believe that the respective ministries are well aware of the need to actually push for that to happen. Like what I said, we are the only country, and probably DRC, that charge duty on mobile devices, and if you look at those countries, you find out that they are pretty much on the bottom in terms of growth now, because of that. Devices are already expensive. Smartphones are already expensive. That's why we're still sitting on 55% smartphone penetration rate, when everywhere globally it's around over 80%. So the major reason is because the cost of the devices are still high. So if you're going to add 25% more on that cost, it's even making it more impossible for someone to be able to actually afford that. So I think it's a big issue, that really needs to be addressed, especially when people don't have an option. Right now, people don't have an option. If you want to go into a banking hall, you are told that we don't accept manual transfers anymore. And at the same time, there's duty on a cell phone. You can't afford it. So, it makes it so difficult for people to actually be able to survive in such kind of an environment if, we are making devices more expensive for the people.
Let's, while we're still talking about the ease of doing business, Mr. Gwatidzo, I need to understand something. Half, if not 80% of your sales today, right now, these are RTGS-based sales, and you're supposed to then recoup your money and then reorder, make more sales using foreign currency. I need to understand this issue. How are you guys making, where are you getting the foreign currency? Because it looks like most of these players, they are still able to bring in new gadgets. I know there's been a major slowdown, but still you're in business. As we are still on this area of ease of doing business, make me understand, how are you guys getting the new foreign currency to reorder and continue business?
I think to be honest with you, I think it has been a very difficult patch for us as a company for the last 1.5 years, if not 2 years, to the extent that we were not even really trading anything in Zimbabwe. I think that's where you see a shift that we had then taken as a company in terms of developing more software as a service solutions. That was actually trying to leverage off the challenges that were there, because we ideally couldn't trade. Because if you can have access to the forex, then it means you can bring the products, which effectively means that you can trade. And for us, as you know, we were like a pioneer in terms of offering credit to civil servants and to employ people so that they could actually afford to buy devices on credit. Obviously, when there was a statutory instrument change in terms of moving to RTGS, it means all those loans that were given to people, they automatically became RTGS. So imagine if you are sitting on a book of $5 million, now it's worth 50,000, and you would have been given credit lines from our Chinese suppliers. So you now owe them money, but there's no way you can get the money.
Yeah.
So for us, especially for a business that was offering credit, it was a huge knock on our business that, it didn't make any sense. We lost value overnight, and you actually didn't have money to buy the forex from. Because all the money was wiped away. So for us, in terms of that, what it means is you're pretty much, for anyone that has been offering credit, long-term credit, up to 24 months, what it means, you're pretty much starting afresh. So in terms of rebuilding your balance sheet, because there is zero balance sheet, and now what you're basically trying to do is to actually start rebuilding from zero in terms of that balance sheet. So that's a space where most people that I know that were offering credit in terms of their products are right now, because the balance sheet just was wiped out overnight for you to access.
Just over a policy pronouncement.
Just over a policy pronouncement, and it was a huge. And that time you could not get the money on the official market, in as much as it was.
Let's talk about that. I know there's now a system that the government is using, that weekly floating system to buy foreign currency. If individuals like you manage to benefit as well, if you manage to get any foreign currency, are small to medium enterprises able to access this foreign currency, so to say?
For us, we have not yet managed to. And like what I've said is, we are now only reintroducing, our devices business back into the market now. But I think, from talking to different people, it seems as if for big companies, it seems to be working. They seem to be getting the forex from the auction. And other SMEs, I understand that there was another SME auction that was introduced. But I want to believe the minimum is 10,000. So what it only means that anyone that trades below that, they're still struggling to get the forex because they don't meet the minimum threshold that are required for one to actually.
So they're only giving this forex to those who are needing at least 10,000 and above.
Yes. So from my understanding, so what it means is, obviously small businesses, they still struggle to obviously get the forex. Only big companies are actually managing to get the forex. So I think there is obviously need for something to be done that speaks to individuals, so that anyone that wants less than 10,000, they'll still be able to also get the money on the auction. But obviously the good thing about the auction, if I can say, it has managed to stabilize prices. I think for the last 2 months, the prices have kind of been stable. which kind of makes it easy for people to plan and to do business. So our hope from a business perspective is it remains like that, so that at least it kind of creates an
So
environment.
walk with me,
where
sorry.
people-
I know you are much more exposed to the system, and most of our viewers, they have no idea exactly what's going on at this Forex market exchange. So does it mean that, okay, for any small, medium enterprise or even big players who want to actually benefit from this issue, from this Forex available, are they able to easily just walk in and get a certain portion that they want? The way you're understanding it, I know you're talking to a lot of other various business players there. Is it easy for anyone to say, I need 15,000 because of a business that I'm doing here? Is it easy for them to be able to do that, so to say? I just need to understand.
I think it is. Pretty much, I think you go through your bank. You obviously don't go directly yourself to an auction. I think each and every bank has got a treasury department which actually sources funds on behalf of their customers. So I think it's a matter of you approaching your bank and obviously telling them that I'm looking for so much amount of money. So you then just obviously put your bid through your banker, and you will then be advised of the results, every Tuesday when it happens. So I think it's as easy as that. I think there's no complication. It's just an issue of going to your bankers, and they'll give you more information, and they'll assist you to actually be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I know we had a conversation sometime last year or 2 years back over this issue of the so-called priority list, whereby on top of that list, I know there was food, there was medication, there was pharmaceutical supplies, and all, and technology wasn't on top of that so-called national priority list. Are we still using that to get Forex from the government?
Yeah, I still think there is obviously some sort of a priority listing in terms of the Forex, and I think each and every week there's obviously something that the central bank circulates in the newspapers which kind of shows the sectors that have benefited. So you still find out that technology is still benefiting less than 2% or 3% of the allocations that are still happening. So it still means that obviously technology is still not really appreciated and seen as a key driver in terms of the economy. Because when you look at how the split is done, it actually shows you what is being prioritized and what is not. And so in technology, it's still not that prioritized by just looking at the allocation that would have been done and the percentage that would have been given towards a technology company.
Yeah, so we are going to be going into our third and last segment just after this short break, where we now need to know and understand where Astro Mobile Zimbabwe, Astro Mobile Africa, and of course the latest article that we've already given you about the future of Astro Mobile and the technology in Zimbabwe. We'll be back after this message. Live. This is www.techmake.tv, and of course, get us of www.technomake.co.zw. This is the third and last segment, where today we are talking tech business with the CEO for Astro Mobile. I know there's Astro Africa. I know there's Astro Zimbabwe. But of course, this is what we're now getting into, so that we fully understand who this brand is and where they're going. And of course, for those who have been following us religiously, we did make an article where Astro Mobile Africa has announced a major merge with an American-based company. Mr. Munyaradzi Gwatidzo, this has been news that we had last week. We recently revealed that you had a merger with an American-based company, Logic. If you can just make us understand exactly what's going on in this deal.
So basically, our vision is to really impact Africa, like what I've said, in the beginning of this discussion, and which has always been our vision, even 13 years ago. So, but there is always limitation in terms of scale, in terms of for any business to be able to grow to a certain level, you need to be able to increase in terms of scale. And I think one of the issues or strategies for you to be able to do that is to then also be able to partner with companies that have got more or less the same inclination in terms of what you're doing, so that you leverage in terms of their balance sheets for you to be able to also scale up your business. So for us as Astro, I think it was important, and we felt it was time to take our brands, pan-African, in each and every African country. And obviously the limitation is always then the resources to be able to do that. So for us, we then had a partnership with Logic Mobility, which is one of the biggest mobile vendors and technology companies in America. Obviously they also had a passion to also be able to come into Africa, but they don't understand Africa, they don't understand the technologies and the things that are needed in Africa. So they also identified us as a key strategic partner, for them to also be able to penetrate into the African technology space. So, it's something that we're excited about as a company, because it's now giving us scale in terms of what we have always wanted to do. We will not really be limited by resources in terms of actually driving the business to the next level. So pretty much what it means in terms of our devices, you will not be seeing Astro branded devices anymore in the market. What you actually be seeing is Logic branded devices. I think starting in the next 2 weeks, you then obviously start seeing.
So Astro technically is no longer Astro. Astro is now Logic, so to say.
Not really. So let me explain further there.
Yeah.
So Astro is now a group of companies. So pretty much you now have got Astro Technology Group, which owns the Logic Africa brand and also the Genesis mobile brand. So if you remember, you find out that Astro had a device range which was called Genesis, which has been our prime device
I used to
range.
love Genesis.
Yes, so that has been our prime device. So what we have done is we have converted Genesis as well into a brand. So Logic is pretty much your entry-level to mid-level brand. Then Genesis is your mid to high-end brand. So we've kind of like created two brands. So what we have done is we've leveraged off each other. We can now drive the Logic brand into Africa, and we can also now drive the Genesis brand into the American market, into the rest of America. So which has also given us a space and opportunity now to also compete in the American market, which I feel it's a big for an African brand to actually also start driving sales in the American market. So that is what this partnership has managed to give us. So, Astro,
have they bought in any stake at Astro?
So what we have done, it's a very complicated structuring that we have done, where it's more of a brand licensing arrangement that we have done, which has been a cross-pollination in terms of brand licensing, in terms of that, and also being able to offer any other related guarantees that we need to be able to produce whatever products that we want. So what it means is we don't have any limitation in producing any product, because there is obviously external guarantees that are given in terms of our business. So in other words, we've got access to credit lines that makes it easy for us to be able to do whatever we want to be able to do as a business. So yes, you will not be able to see the Astro branded devices, but you still have Astro Technology Group as the group company, because we also now have got Ishagi. I think you know Ishagi, which is a digital lending platform where people are now able to have access to credit digitally.
So you are a marketer by profession. I didn't ask you about Ishagi, but here you go. You are now invading us. You're telling us about Ishagi. Okay, let's talk about Ishagi.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about Ishagi.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, we also have got now Ishagi as one of our subsidiary companies, which is a digital platform. So basically, what we have seen is that in Africa, people have got difficulties in terms of getting credit. One thing that frustrates me as an individual is our local banks, it's like they're doing you a favor when they're giving you a loan. I don't know if you've applied a loan in any bank.
Yeah.
It's like you have to beg people for you to apply for a loan, but the bank's actually making money
Yes,
off you.
that's the major business.
So we want to change that narrative. We want to make credit as easy as just clicking a button so that you don't have to beg.
But, for me to be able to get credit from any store, let's have the top companies that we have partnered with, so that we avoid the blanket word of any store. Which are the top players which anyone can just walk in and will be able to get stuff for credit?
Any store.
I'm trying so hard so that we put specifics there.
Yes. Any store, and I mean any store, because of how the system works.
Yeah.
So if you go to any store right now and you want to buy anything and you don't have cash, all you just need to do is to log in and sign up on ishagi.com. And you basically put in the name of the store that you want. They just give you their account number, and you just go through the validation process, and we actually pay them upfront in terms of whatever you want to buy.
How long is that process?
So it's a seamless process. So you're looking at a maximum of 24 hours, but pretty much if you're a civil servant or you're formally employed, it's something that can happen seamlessly in terms of in the next 2 hours, you can actually be able to do that. So that's why I'm saying that we are getting credit to anywhere and any store. So now you can walk into any store. You can walk into a TV sales and hire. You can walk into your power sales. You can walk into any store or XYZ clothing store. We can still finance that purchase. So literally what it means is, as long as you sign up on Ishagi and you become an Ishagi registered customer, you can actually be able to go to any store and get a product on the credit.
I'm going to look for a store that is called any store, because the emphasis you're having with any store, surely I'll look for any store.
Yeah.
There's an issue of KYC, credit risk, and the fraudsters. So if I'm getting a salary for the past 3 months through a bank, I'm able to just use that service.
Yes.
The Zimbabwean economy has been very hard, Mr. Gwatidzo. Anyone can take advantage of any opportunity to fraud anybody. What if somebody just comes through, applies, and then these people, they disappear? KYC, you're saying it's digital. I'm not supposed to be submitting anything. How do you then know me or track me? Because surely you should be worried about fraudsters and people who want to utilize and take advantage of these systems.
That is the beauty of technology. That is the beauty of technology. So what we're able to do is we're able to auto-validate a customer, whether you are the real customer. We do that digitally. We've got an API integration with the respective, registry centers where we are able to do that. So also we are integrated to financial clearance bureaus where we auto-check you. These things, they all happen automatically. Then we are also using facial recognition in terms of actually authenticating you, and also using over 200, algorithms that we use to be able to check you. So we check everything about you, your social media, everything, your phone calls, your everything, to be able to actually make a credit decision, whether to give you credit. And this happens in like a minute. But we would have checked almost 500 variables, to be able to actually be able to do that. So technology is bringing a lot of capabilities in terms of our system, how we use artificial intelligence, machine learning, in terms of actually understanding and studying our customers much better, and also be able to use these different APIs and algorithms that we're actually using. So I feel and strongly believe that, credit is changing, banking is changing, and the future of banking is in fintech companies. Because your conventional banks, they still make it so difficult for people to actually be able to have credit.
Whose man is this, Mr. Gwatidzo? If you're ready and you're able to fund anyone, I just need to know which financial institution are you working with?
We're currently working with CBZ through their subsidiary called Red Sphere Financial Services. So pretty much we are in partnerships with them, and they're pretty much obviously supporting this amazing, great product that we have launched here in Zimbabwe.
So that's Ishage there. I know it has come through. Many people were talking about it, and there was a bit of a slowdown in the official launch from the time that we spoke about it in the actual execution. So can you safely say now it's in full operation and it's running?
Yes, now it is in full operation and it's running. And I think those are some of the things that you have to get when you are an innovator and you are a disruptor. So we had to then start creating APIs for us to be able to create the capabilities for it to be able to work the way it's supposed to work. Because most of the systems that are already in the system that you are supposed to integrate to, you find out that they didn't even have APIs. Their systems were not even able to connect to another system. So we had to start developing different systems to actually help other companies to connect to our system. So those are some of the challenges that were there, because most companies are not digitally ready, even at the moment. So, you then have to go through that journey. But I'm happy with the progress that we have managed to make so far. You can try it. Just go on www.ishagi.com, and register an Ishagi account and see that in a minute you'll have an Ishagi account. And try to borrow. You'll be able to see that in probably in an hour you'll have money in your bank account. That's what we are.
So how much can I get? What are the limitations like? If I'm going to be applying for such a service, what is my limit?
Limits are obviously a variable of your income that you get. But we are able to give loans up to pretty much, if you're formally employed and you've got a salary, up to 7, 8 times your monthly salary, we can be able to give you as a loan. But it's a variable, of many things. But we do not have really a limit. You can easily get up to 200 or 500,000 RTGS as a loan, via the platform. It's very possible we can, if you've got the different affordability matrices that we need for us to be able to actually approve such kind of a loan. Yeah.
And the interest rates, I know it doesn't start and end by me getting the money. It also goes back to me returning this money. At what cost? How much are you charging people who are going to be applying for these loans?
You always pose these difficult questions, but so it's variant. So we don't have like a one interest rate fits all.
Okay.
It basically depends with your risk profile. Like what I said is, after we analyze, you get a credit scoring, and from that credit scoring, you then basically get an interest rate. So it's determined really by your risk profile in terms of that. But what I can assure you is, currently we're probably the cheapest, in terms of microfinance lending in the market. I think there's nowhere where you can be cheapest in the market at the moment, and the fastest and the most efficient and the most cool platform at the moment in the market.
Okay, so let me just take you back to the technology just before we close this show. I know it is now exactly an hour since we started, and this was supposed to just go through an hour. I did receive a question from our viewers who are watching us, and of course to those who are actually still watching us, you can go ahead please and post a question. There's a question that I received from one of our WhatsApp groups, that is Technomec Devs, where people want to know if at all Astro Mobile is still going to be developing locally made apps. If you're going to be uploading or supporting locally made apps in your device, yes, you're going to be pushing devices, but should we expect this to be coming through pre-installed? I know you also had a local Play Store. It was a very big revolutionary technological issue that you launched 2-3 years back, if my memory still serves me well. What happened to that? But maybe I think for the benefit of the person who just questioned, for the question we just received, sorry, from Brighton Mukorera, he says, is there any chance of you Astro guys pre-installing some local apps like games from local devs in Zimbabwe? So that's the question there from Brighton.
Yes, definitely. What we've also done as part of the Astro Technology Group, we also have got a company called Algebra. So Algebra, it's a technology incubator, pretty much where we are developing technology. And I think one of the things that we are doing is working with upcoming developers and local development companies in terms of helping them to scale whatever work that they are doing. So we actually help them in terms of technology, in terms of technical competency, in terms of all those kind of things. And what we are trying to also drive is to actually promote local applications through even the platform, our platform. So all our phones, yes, they're going to come pre-installed with a local Play Store where local developers can actually start pushing through their applications via the platform. Because I'm a big fan of African, driven, developed applications. Because I believe that it's only Africa that can change its challenges through, locally developed technologies.
So the next brand that you're going to be producing for this market definitely is going to be the Logic.
Logic.
So
yes.
we're expecting you guys to be launching the next Logic device.
In the next 2 weeks.
That's
yes.
a high end, low end?
That's your entry to middle range device. Then in November we are launching the Genesis, which is a premium device, which is obviously, I believe in convergence. Like what I said, is mobile devices have become one. So your Genesis device is going to come with a wallet pre-installed there. A GPay is going to come with what we call Genesis Pulse, which is a wellness and health solution, which comes with a wearable as well in box, which you'll be able to, which will be connected to your doctors and all these different people, which means that if, for example, your blood pressure is high, your doctor is notified, that your blood pressure is high. If your pulse is too low, your doctor will be notified that. So that's like real-time healthcare that we are also going to be delivering through the Genesis brand. Then you've got, also, we also in a partnership with Deezer. I don't know if you know Deezer, which is one of the upcoming biggest music platform right now globally with over 50 million songs there. It's going to also come pre-installed on the Genesis. So you buy a Genesis, you're going to get music, you're going to get healthcare, you're going to get financial services. So it's not just a device, but it's a lifestyle.
Wow.
So that is what we are launching, and it's the first globally where you've got a fully converged mobile devices that you're launching. So the amazing thing about Genesis, you buy it, you get more or less like an international debit card by just buying the phone. So that's how amazing the Genesis device is, and you'll have access to doctors globally through the Pulse system. So if you want to talk to a doctor in the United States, you'll be able to have a doctor in the United States in the palm of your hands by just buying a Genesis phone. So, it's one of the most amazing brands that we are launching. It will also come with rugged devices because Africa, it's an agro-driven economy. So we just also going to have devices that are waterproof, dustproof, shockproof, every proof that you think about. It's going to be sitting on the Genesis Panther that will also be launching in November. So it's an exciting time for the Astro Group. We are not just devices now. We are touching the whole spectrum from healthcare to financial services, to education, to agrotech, in terms of our solutions that we are also going to be pushing throughout Africa.
Well, the biggest question that Zimbabweans would want to know, you have just spoken about these devices coming through. The biggest question, Mr. Gwatidzo, is at what cost? How much will your medium to high end, entry to medium device? I know this is the one that you said we're supposed to be expecting the Logic device to be launched very soon. At what cost? How much should we expect this device to come with?
I think the entry level Logic smartphone, it will be retailing at plus or minus around $45.
Wow.
Which we believe is a big for a 1 plus 8 GB device. I think it's yeah. Mm-hmm. So
what are the specs? What are the specs? Are you carrying with this?
You are looking at a 1 GB RAM, 8 GB ROM. You've got a 4-inch screen with a 5 megapixels camera, which we believe is an amazing price for such kind of a device. Then we also have got 4 ranges there, and the highest spec on that range will be sitting on a 2 plus 32 GB RAM ROM device, which is a 4G LTE device, 13 megapixels camera front and back, and it's a device that will be retailing under $130. So you find out that we've got a range of devices, for everyone. You've got a $45 device, $60 device, $70 device, and the most expensive device will be around $130. So obviously, depending on which retailer you're going to buy it from. But for us, it's really driving affordability in terms of that. And over and above that, you can buy any of these phones on credit financed by Ishagi. Or over 24 months. So you'll be paying almost $1 to $2 a month for a smartphone. How cool is that? For $2 a month you can get a smartphone. So for us, those are the kind of disruption that we're doing, so that anyone that has got an income will be able to get a smartphone. Yes.
Yeah. So I need to understand something quickly. I know you've been speaking about this Logic company. How big is this in terms of market share and also footprint? Because I've honestly never heard of Logic as a brand. But how big is this?
You'll find Logic is the biggest mobile device vendor in Southern America. So if you go to Argentina, Brazil, all these countries in Southern America, it's one of the more. I think it's got like 35% market share in the whole of Southern America, and also it's got plus or minus 5 to 10% market share in the American market itself. So this is a business a plus $500 million company, which is pretty much a big company that we've partnered with.
Wow. Yeah, and well, we are looking forward to this. The high-end device, you said 45 to 130. The high-end device, at least for around how much should we expect this to be coming in?
So you are looking at the entry-level Genesis retailing at around $150, and this is typically your 3 GB plus 64 GB 6.5-inch device, which is coming with all these cool things that I've spoken about. It comes with a wearable already in box, which is connected.
That's an extra smartwatch, right?
That's like a smartwatch that comes there. It's all the Genesis. They come with earpods. They don't come with earphones. So wireless earpods. So it's really an upmarket but affordable brand. And the most expensive one will be probably retailing around $350. So it's something that we feel that anyone can afford. And it's not just a phone that you're buying a whole lot of lifestyle. You buy it, you don't worry about your wellness, you don't worry about your financial services. Automatically, by actually buying a Genesis, you automatically qualify for $200 credit. So without being vetted, you can borrow $200 by just buying a Genesis phone. So that's how amazing the product offering is going to be.
Well, interesting. Yeah. And I know we spoke a lot of issues since we started this interview. My last question should have been ideally my first question. You are an entrepreneur, you are a business person, and you are driving a lot of technology and tech-driven solutions, so to say. Any words out there to fellow entrepreneurs? I know our environment here in Zimbabwe has got lots of entrepreneurs, and people still trying to make it out there and create a brand that is going to have a strong imprint. Few last words to any would-be entrepreneur there, and advice from a certain entrepreneur. 13 years now down the line, you've been in the business. Surely we can take some notes.
So what I can say is, business is not for the faint-hearted. It's not easy, but it can be done. The journey is not smooth. It's full of bumps. But if you're determined to achieve something, you can definitely get there. So it's about vision. If you don't have a vision that you passionately believe in, it's something that is very difficult for you to survive in the entrepreneurial journey. But I can say it can be done. And the trick, or I always say, the solution is always in starting. We've got so many entrepreneurs that have got all these amazing ideas that they have, but they are not starting. They are not starting. So what I can just say is you need to start. Whatever you have, start it. You can only see whether it's going to work if you start it. So don't be scared. Start.
Wow. Just don't be scared. Start. That's the most important thing. At least start and see how it goes through there. So yes, to our viewers, it's been slightly now over an hour since we started this conversation. I know he's a guy that we're talking from 13 years back. Surely what do you expect? That's Munyaradzi Gwatidzo, the CEO of Astro. Do I call you Astro Mobile Africa, or it's now Astro Global?
Astro Technology Group.
Astro Technology Group.
Yes.
Yes. It has been a very informative and interesting interview that we had with you there. We do thank you so much for you taking your time to be here with us and having this conversation and opening up a lot more about what's going on in the technology business in Zimbabwe. We don't take it for granted.
Thank you very much for having me. I think it has been a wonderful 1 hour of discussion.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about the conversation, and I really hope that it will be able to inspire someone out there to start.
I love the frankness. You've been very frank in most issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we are at a point, you know, in our country and in Africa where we just have to be frank about the real challenges that we are facing, so that we are able to solve those challenges.
Astro Mobile Technology, Astro Mobile Africa. I still mix it up, but I'll get used. I'll catch up. Mr. Munyaradzi Gwatidzo, that's the CEO there. We do thank you so much to all our viewers who are watching us live from wherever you are. This is www.techmec.tv and of course cadets of Technomec. Thank you so much for taking your time and your hours to be with us right here. We are back once more again each and every week where we talk nothing much but technology and business in and around Zimbabwe. From me, my name is Tonio. Cool behind the scenes. We thank you so much. It's a wrap. Ciao. We'll see you.